I think that's true.
That's all
Yeah.
I heard.
All right. So, how do you feel? Okay, let's finish up. We talked about reading 23 through 32. Did we do that?
No.
No.
All right, let's do that real quickly. 23 through 30. You got it, Ed?
After 2 full years, Absalom had sheep shears at Baal Hazor near Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons. Absalom came to the king and said, "Behold, your servant has sheep shears. I pray you, let the king and his servants go with your servant." And the king said to Absalom, "No, my son, let us not all go, lest we be burdensome to you." Absalom urged David still, but he would not go, but he blessed him. Then said Absalom, "If not, I pray you, let my brother Amnon go with us." And the king said to him, "Why should he go with you?" But Absalom urged him, and he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Where am I reading through? Okay. Now Absalom commanded his servants, notice now, when Amnon's heart is merry with wine, and when I say to you, strike Amnon, then kill him. Fear not. Have I not commanded you? Be courageous and brave. And the servants of Absalom did to Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man mounted his mule and fled. While they were on the way, the word came to David, "Absalom has killed all the king's sons, and not one of them is left." Then the king arose and tore his garments and lay on the floor, and all of his servants standing by him tore their clothes. But Jonadab, son of Shemaiah, David's brother, said, "Let not my lord suppose that they have killed all the king's sons, for Amnon only is dead." This purpose has shown itself on Absalom's determined mouth ever since the day that Amnon humiliated his sister Tamar.
So in the end, the brother killed the other brother. He was so filled with hate,
Just like Cain and Abel.
just like Cain and Abel. But the big difference here is the fact that they were true brothers. Here we have half-brothers, and in defending his sister's honor. How do you feel about that?
I think it was right.
You think it was right?
Yes.
Okay.
I think back then the law was if you rape a woman, you stoned to death. I mean, that should have been the proper judgment.
Yes.
But the problem was is that he didn't take it upon, justice wasn't served. He took the justice in his own hands like a vigilante and did it himself.
King David should have taken
Yes.
care of this.
King's son.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that too, so I might have superseded it, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
King David, what, Ed?
King David should have taken care of the
Yeah.
situation
Yeah,
2 years before.
Yeah,
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 he
yeah.
should have
He
done
probably,
that.
because it was his son, I guess he didn't want to do
Yeah.
it, so Absalom.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
What lessons can be learned from both Amnon and Absalom? Bad parenting.
Parents.
Vengeance is mine.
All right, so are we justifying that Absalom killing Amnon was the right thing to do? No.
No.
We're not agreeing with
Yes,
We're
we're
not.
not.
You said no, you're not.
that. Are we agreeing?
Justified.
Are we justifying?
No. I mean, we look at.
In the law of the land at that time, it was the right thing to do, but.
He didn't have the authority.
Wasn't.
It wasn't his job to do.
Exactly.
You should have left it to God.
Because it took him 2
Yeah.
years. And again, more plotting and scheming, right?
Yes, yeah.
And to get him out there, and he said, look, when he gets drunk, remember, that's when he gets thrilled with wine, that's what he's
Yes.
talking about, when he, has a few happy hour drinks, then, did you have something?
I did.
Oh,
It may have been the law of the land, but he didn't have the authority.
that's right.
And that makes it wrong.
Makes it wrong. Plus, it was the king's son.
Yeah.
This wasn't like somebody down the street. I mean, because if you're the king's son and I go down the street, let me put it this way, how many people, and this is just the law of the land, I think the ultimate case of that was, is you see it played out in court. If people who are of influence, let's take a celebrity, let's take an
Justin
athlete.
Bieber.
The Beebs, man.
The Bieber, dude.
Yeah. The odds of him getting pleaded guilty,
Slim.
Slim.
Right.
Yeah, he has so many lawyers and money that he can just easily.
that's what I'm saying. So when you're of wealth, right, that's what I was saying, and I killed this person down the street because he tarnished my sister, he might get a big applause. But now I'm knocking off my brother, who's also the king's son. And that makes it a little different.
Well, David was, I think.
That didn't work for Moses. He had to flee. And he didn't kill royalty.
No, he killed an Egyptian.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Leary gets 20 different scenes.
Yeah, that was,
It's like apples and oranges.
yeah, that was a little different. But I understand what you're saying, to your point. And so, yeah, it doesn't be like me going down
He was
to-
in a royal household. It's not apples and oranges.
Well,
Yeah.
the fact of the matter was, it is, because he owned up to that, he confessed that, and God knew that. So, I mean, he was a man that was not without sin, but he killed an Egyptian for harming another Hebrew. So that was the thing, he was defending his people. So, I mean, you know, there's a lot of cases here. She shouldn't have been left unattended for all of that time. The king should have been told. You know, something should have been done, nothing was done. So
Right.
who can
Well-
really weigh in?
Now, let's back up real quickly and look at verse 20 again. What does that verse say?
Her brother Absalom said to her, "Has that Amnon, your brother, been with you? Be quiet now, my sister. He is your brother. Don't take this thing to heart." And Tamar lived in her brother Absalom's house, a desolate woman.
Now, here's the sad part about that. The Bible says that Tamar lived in Absalom's house as a desolate woman, as you said. Tamar was, she was isolated and she was depressed following her knockout punch. And we never see, the Bible never speaks to her again. We don't know if she came out of this funk. We don't know what happened to her, other than what the Bible says here, where she was a desolate living and she wouldn't even come out of her brother's house. This is the reality of what can happen to people depending on your knockout punch that you can have in life. It can hit hard. And sometimes it can be so easy when somebody says, I'm depressed or I'm going through a difficult situation. It was devastating to me. It could be the death we just talked about. It could be any of those major items that we talked about. It's not normally, I got a ticket for $18 at a parking meter, which I got in Coral Gables. I'm not hugely devastated by that, but if I hit a child, and I feel so bad for people. I mean, we always feel bad for the person, but you have to, then there are times you think about the driver. I would hate to hit somebody. I just think that would be weighing on my mind all the time. Right? So what my point is it's hard sometimes, and I know Marcia, she's a professional at this. This is what she does. She's a professional counselor. And to try to get into the dark areas of your mind that you're holding things in, sometimes purposely, maybe sometimes subconsciously, you through counseling, you know, it's like a surgical procedure, you got to get that out. Because once you can get it out and put it out there and start dealing with it, the healing can start. The healing can begin. So, take it seriously. The three characters that I was talking about are the two brothers, but the one other one that I felt that it sort of gets off on this story a little bit is King David, who should have done something.
Absolutely.
He could have stepped in at the time. He could have made sure that his daughter was taken care of. That was whatever that he could have done in the day. He could have done anything he wanted. He was the king.
He was the law.
He could have went to her and say, what do you want me to do to him? What justice do you want? Because whatever you say, he should get, short of death.
But honestly, you should only do what you're authority to do. Maybe you did
He
what.
was the authority. He was the
But
king.
it doesn't matter if he's the king, he should know what's right to do and not take advantage of his power.
Well, that's why he said except death. Anything
Right.
other than death would have been fine.
Yeah. And I'm saying other than death only because, keep in mind, that's my son.
Right.
So,
But he's playing favor.
he did play favor, you're right. He didn't do anything, Laquita.
Sometimes I have the trouble of thinking everybody feels and thinks like I do. So maybe David, King David, he wouldn't even kill Saul. So that's probably why he didn't do anything.
Well, that's a good point, that's a good point. But again, I've often said, if I came into your house tonight and you think, boy, Larry, you're just one of my favorite people of all time. And I came in your house and I slapped your child. I might have a hard time to get out of that house. No matter how you
So you
treat
would,
it,
you could register without
somebody
somebody.
else. Now, to see it was against you, but if you touch my kids, if you touch my wife, if you touch us, you now, okay, you better know Jesus, because you're gonna see him real quick.
It's different though, because I've actually had that happen. I've had my girlfriend who disciplined my child, and it was okay with me. Everybody is, we're all snowflakes, and we're only gonna relate to people how and who we are, so that's what I'm thinking David did.
Yeah.
You know, like if they had different daddy, Saul, they would have probably been, okay, what do you want me to do with him? And make it better.
Good point.
So people are different, so yeah, some you touch their kid, they're
That's the way,
father out.
right, that's the way we were raised.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I think David was just extremely conflicted because first of all, it was his son. And he didn't want to give him what he deserved. If it wasn't his son, dead.
Yeah.
No question about it. But going all the way back, David slept with Bathsheba. And David said that you're going to be cursed because of what you did. That, what he committing adultery, what Amnon did was a result of David's actions years before.
Good point.
You know?
Yeah.
And because David didn't take care of things properly, Absalom despised his father and later rebelled against him, and it caused his own death.
Good point, good point. Yes.
Well, David was punished, that baby died that they had.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, they did. Later on, King Solomon came from him too. So look what happened. But it says in the Bible, David was the man after God's own heart, because he repented. You know, when he wrote chapter 51 in Psalm, oh, create in me and cleanse my, create in me a new heart and cleanse me. It's one of the strongest, things that you can say. Like he basically asked God to do not take your spirit from me. So, when David saw that his son, he did two things wrong. He broke the 10 Commandments, which they upheld. Do not commit adultery. He did basically with the sister. I mean, raping her is sort of a form of adultery. When you think of it, it's fornication and you go ahead and commit a bad act. And then the second would be not to murder. So it was a toss-up of what to do. So,
Right.
it had to be a
Absolutely.
bad situation.
Now, let me come back to one quick statement before, and that is, at the end, or not at the end, but there I said, what is the life lesson that we take from this? And I think we agreed that as a result of what we were talking about, and it's a life lesson that you've heard all your life. And that is two wrongs
Don't make it right.
don't make a right.
The two rights made an airplane.
Yeah. All right. Let's end with the praise song. Let's end with the praise song because God loves you so much and we love him so much. And then we're going to go have a bite to eat. How's that sound?